It wasn't the pearls they seek to use. It was the pearl boxes they considered. However, the value of the pearls and the quality of the pearl boxes to ship and receive illegal cash to and from the States. I do not have factual evidence on when the groups started the DNA for illegal cash with the use of the EKP pearl boxes, but what I can make certain is documentation, blood samples, shipping and receiving receipts dated far back as 2016. Well, at this point, many people are knowledgeable about underground cultural practices. It's the fastest illegal way to absorb the light from a vibrational, well, let me speak clearly, a high vibrational perspective. Yes, the EKP pearls are authentic. And the process and the pressure that goes into collecting each individual pearl, which separates the formation of each pearl necklace by giving each buyer a one-of-a-kind experience. Well, as of today, there has only been 15,000 authentic EKP pearl necklaces available, recorded, and released throughout the world. That's astonishing to say, based on the multiple customer reviews, that the EKP pearl necklace has a natural superpower. Here's my takeaway on that. The customers believe in the EKP pearls having a supernatural effect surrounding their lives whenever the necklace is worn. Humankind will always be available to receive energy. Whether the energy comes from another human all the way down to a product such as an expensive EKP pearl necklace. And I shall make a point. You hold the energy to activate whomever or whatever you truly believe in. I will never honor myself with anything of great value and not believe the reaction of others being extraordinary.
Hashtag
because
ANTS, hashtag
I
all night
withhold
talks.
my power. An EKP pearl necklace is no less than 100K or more. It depends solely on the customer's liking. The DNA that the groups are in need of is unknown to myself in my research, but very clear to scientists that the DNA is primarily in younger girls, specifically the reproductive gland. The adopted parents are litter-picked throughout the world. The adopted parents are consciously aware of each group's mission. First, the adopted parents sign a compensative pending agreement. Secondly, the baby girl's blood are drawn, which is handed over to an unknown scientist. Next, if the baby girl's DNA is comparable, the little girls would... United McCoy, you will not be continuing that statement. Next question, please. Jake Rowland knew exactly what he had signed up for. But like other families, Jake and his wife Shindig deeply connected with their adopted children, which made it very difficult for the adopted family to keep quiet. reckon the guilt, the depression, and the haunting was more than enough circumstances to get the families talking. Jake did his best for years to stay away from his wife and adopted children. He overcompensated the groups. He signed over business deals to protect his wife and those adopted girls. But it was never enough until the end of Jake. I've never had any concerns journaling the EKP because I would only question what was above surface levels. People are not usually comfortable when it comes to speaking about dark secrets, so I would remove the pondering pressure, increase my support, and only ask the questions that I know to be true.
The only reason Erin Kennedy and myself engaged interest towards that specific property was none other than the location. And once the sellers decided to go back and forth, leaving us no room for negotiations, we were then directed to contact their real estate agents. And with that being said, once the homeowners/sellers aborted the deal, including the real estate agents, we dived in for Mike's extensive knowledge. Unfortunately, Mike anchored the seller's boat and retrieved unsuccessful information that led to the real estate agents having no cohesive schooling or connections in buying or selling properties of great value. So there you have it. The property is now in our possession. The compound is located in a safe haven along the midst of north-southeast, which faces the west side of the island, and large enough to house 200 baby girls comfortably, with an IA property value that's beyond one's imagination. It now comes to a time for those who have gone through the unthinkable to survive. But Erin Kennedy proposed that the baby girls still doesn't have enough and decides to extend the compound. Upon extending the compound, the builders strike oil. No, we refused to relocate. We kept off the portal by allowing the oil miners to purchase and process off our land. And all the oil proceeds are donated to each baby girl once they were successfully adopted to start a manufacturing company of choice. Once the baby girls reach a responsible age, was also in the contracts. To date, the EKP Jake Adoption Agency has provided legal hospitality services for nearly 10,000 baby girls worldwide since year 2010. The EKP Jake Adoption Agency was established in America out of convenience. The majority of the participants did not have green cards nor visas. And to obtain such is a process in itself.
Hashtag ANTS.
And then you make it to the islands to start the adoption process, which meets unnecessary travel time and expense. So that was the main opportunity that we started that American location in first place. Yes, the paperwork is a drop in the hat when matching the baby girls with the adoption parents, but physical compatibility solidifies the adoption process.
Hashtag ANTS, hashtag all night talk, let's gather. Bring the ants in. Scene 3, United McCoy.
The overall mission is to exceed fostering goals by not just placing the baby girls, receiving the grant money, issuing it out to the highest bidder, just to experience the turnover. This way of doing business is mentally overwhelming for employees, the parents, and more importantly, the baby girls. I intentionally stayed away from my sister Erin Kennedy by keeping the lights on myself, which was very challenging because the majority of the EKP business is family. I was steadfast on the EKP girls and the way the girls conducted business and what may or may not be considered to achieve greater business. I guess one could gossip me a columnist versus a collaborator. Observation doesn't need dictation. Once subjective clarity is proven to have integrity, well, fast forward. I found myself interested in Mac Roberts with no clue of whom he was until 2 years later, and upon my discovery, I wanted no parts of his dealings. Mac Ross is the type of guy who enjoys keeping his propagator tool in multiple front bottoms, a fire which is often caused by combustion. There were no straws to draw when it came to me and Mac Roberts. You rather get in where you fit in. If not, he made you an issue with all those you come into contact with. So we were willing to comply. And throughout Ross' passionate journey, causing others to suffer,
Hashtag ANTS.
we pass along with purpose. Just to understand, Mac Ross intentionally manipulated vulnerable women for profitable practices. Monica Rowland did in fact accidentally strike Mark T. Williams with her vehicle, but she did not kill him. We concurred with the news that that was a hiccup to evacuate Mark T. Williams along with others to America to oversee the Erin Kennedy Jake Adoption Agency in America. Mike does annually analysis on the food production concerning the two adoption agencies here on the island and America. Mike there, he becomes surprised after noticing excessive amounts of snow crabs being ordered into the facility, in spite of medical reports showing the baby girls were often becoming ill or displaying signs of mental and physical exhaustion. Exactly. Health is wealth. And if the baby girls are not benefiting health-wise, we cannot place them up for an adoption. So we agreed to send Mark T. Williams along with his team towards America expeditiously. Van Goldberg is my adopted daughter. She works in law enforcement for approximately 6 years before joining the EKP alongside of me with her now husband, Timothy. In the beginning of experiencing lack and losses pertaining to multiple EKP establishments, we were under the impression that constant disappointment was just a part of being in, let's say, business. Well, fortunately for us, Mike enjoys hanging out during his time off where most powerful folks refuse to go, unlike the President of the United States, amongst rural communities. He refers to the rural area as his way of reducing stress. Leave it up to Mike, huh? The people in the rural area are considered for Mike to be more relaxed, spread it out even, and they enjoy instant bonding. And after a few drinks, the club communities be having astonishing things to say that truly are up for discussion. Essentially, Mike continues to cross those tracks on his days off to, feast on information that is beyond belief. I'll tell you. The saying is, an alcoholic speaks a sober mind, but I like to say sometimes. With all hands on deck, Mike learns that specific children in certain districts were prescribed medicine from Dr. G. Land and later became diagnosed with a rare disease. The past cannot be erased. You cover or come forward. Wouldn't you say? Oh, my sister Erin, she has reached her milestone as an entrepreneur. Erin finds herself facing reality with what she believed caused our father legacy to suffer from his own hands. Erin stands in the center of business, the same position our father was anchored in, with only 3 moves to make, and 1 choice, and no guarantees. I will have to consider she either going to continue supplying the cost, or split all shares. Maybe I even spoke to her about proportionately selling all the investments for a percentage.
Hashtag ANTS, hashtag All Night Talks. Let's gather, bring in the ants. That was your final scene 3 of the United McCoy.
So there you have it, United McCoy, she's very straightforward, She has her way of delivery, and she's pretty much adamant that she's a columnist, and, I look forward to scene 2. But in the meantime, in between time, during scene 2, we are going to go towards the meaning of why Erin Kennedy received the offer from Dr. Land to move into his compound.
It's the EKB. The Erin Kennedy Project. Let me hear you say EKP. It's the Erin Kennedy Project.